Hi, my name is Chetan Parkyn. Today we're going to have a look at the emotion center in the Human Design Life Chart. In the last video in this series, we come to the most important center in the Human Design Life Chart, the emotion center, also known as the solar plexus center. This video is going to be longer than the previous ones in this series because there's something very important that I need to relay in as comprehensive way as possible. This center is extremely powerful and also extremely misunderstood. So I'm going to clarify what I have come to know about this center and how to engage with it in the most constructive, creative and delightful way as possible. You'll probably all appreciate that emotions run in waves. Waves that constantly rise and fall. We can be up in waves of emotion that bring us the sensation of being high, joyous, excited, full of fun, spirited, ecstatic, orgasmic, connected, and enlightened. And we can also recognize the sensations of being down, miserable, uninspired, disconnected, depressed, agonized, burned out, lonely, and then darkened. What goes up, goes down, and what goes down, goes up, as the highs and lows of all waves have their mirror opposites. And if we're going to identify with one end of the wave, we have to indulge the other end too. So let's consider what happens with waves to get some insight into what happens in the emotion center. When you stand on the seashore or beside a large body of water like a lake, you're looking out across the water, you see there are waves. And these waves go out as far as you can see. From the seashore, if you could follow these waves, you would see that they cross the ocean all the way to another side, perhaps thousands of miles away. As you look, you'll see that every wave is connected to every other wave. There is a continuity. When we consider the waves of emotion that pass through our lives, every wave of emotion is connected to every other wave of emotion, from the very beginning of our life to the very end of our life. On the ocean, every now and again there are rocks or an obstruction that causes the wave to splash, break up and bounce back, or be diverted in some way so that the regular flow and pattern is interrupted. It is the same in our lives, that every now and again something happens that interrupts us, breaks the flow and pattern, and mostly where these interruptions happen is on the emotional level. They interrupt the waves. Someone yells at us, tells us we're stupid, fat, ignorant, colored, beautiful, ugly, clever, different. Someone laughs at us and we don't get their joke. We have a fight. We are injured in an accident. Someone close to us dies and we're not prepared. Or we become subjected to taking on other people's neuroses, anxieties, pain and distress. We're in an abusive relationship or a household, a war zone, are raped or sexually abused. Childhood trauma in particular lasts forever unless it is cleared. And much as though society would like us to get over these things, perhaps stop reacting, twitching, get off the drugs and alcohol that are somehow keeping us functioning, out of pain, we all know that the wounds run deeper and harsher than can be explained away, because they have settled, stuck, and immobilized in our psyche and emotions. We become trapped in a rut. Where there used to be a wave, there is now a frozen part of our nature that cannot evolve. A part of our flowing ocean of natural pleasures and pains becomes solid, inflexible, and unyielding. Whenever a situation shows up in our life that in any way is like the one that triggered the initial reaction, the freezing, we revisit that same sensation, that feeling, that immobility. And without healing, nothing changes. Acknowledging that every person on earth comes to carry this ice somewhere in their being is important to realize. Because if this did not exist, we would not have wars, domestic violence, drug, alcohol, sex and other addictions, obesity, racism and religious bigotries of all shapes and forms, and all fallout that diminishes our presence here on this beautiful planet. Instead, we would be damage, guilt and shame-free. We would live in an environment of joy, delight and acceptance. And now, because we are all aware of this possibility, please recognize that these qualities of joy and delight are qualities that mirror the natural energies of the Aquarian age in which we now find ourselves. So something dramatic is changing, perhaps despite ourselves, but with conscious application and a huge transformation, we can each choose to be an active part in it, to clear those wounds and those parts of our nature that are frozen, immobilized and disempowered in analogical shock. I will talk more later in this video about how we can remove these blocks, not only in our emotions but also in the other centers of our beings: foggy minds, poor expressions and feelings of unworthiness, betrayals that lodge in our heart, fears, codependencies, continuous stress and other distractions that take us away from living a full and wholesome life. So now, let's have a closer look at the emotion center in the Human Design Life Chart. There are 7 gates in this center, each relating to and expressing emotions differently. 3 gates have the potential to connect to the root center, the center that we looked at in the last video, the center of pressure to engage with life. 2 gates have the potential to connect to the throat center, which we see as a center where we get to express ourselves, and also the center we see where manifestation takes place. 1 gate has the potential to connect to the heart, the willpower center, and 1 has the potential to connect to the sacral generator center. And we'll start here, in gate 6, called conflict resolution. Traditionally, gate 6 is called conflict, as in dealing with emotional unrest, temper tantrums, and anger. I choose to call it conflict resolution as an indication for us to evolve in our emotional intelligence and to move beyond fighting towards acceptance and diplomacy. Chemically, this gateway, gate number 6, relates to the pH, or the acidity-alkalinity balance in the body. And it is through this gateway, seen through the eyes of human design, provides the right environment and ecosystem to support fertility and procreation. For sperm, released through gate 59, called dispersion, at the sacral center, to survive its trip to the embryo, it needs to have a friendly swimming milieu. Along with providing compatible chemistry in our environment, in our physical environment, gate 6 also gives access and even control to the surrounding emotional atmosphere. Those who have this gate in their design will often find themselves refereeing emotionally charged situations. And of course, there is always a range of different ways in which situations can be handled, from pacifying upsets to amplifying them. In the lower corner of the emotion center sits gate number 30 of desires. And this part of our makeup has been harassed by guilt and shame trips forever. The sensation here might be, I feel the urge in me. But what will everyone, including God, think if I do it? You either live out your desires or you walk away from them. The beauty of living out a desire totally is that it completes an experience that does not need to be repeated. The difficulty involved when you hesitate with a desire is that there is no satisfaction if you don't make the jump. And instead you're left dithering and wondering, what might it all be like? Stuck in the desire without the fulfillment. Connected to gate 41 at the root center, called imagination, it creates the channel that exerts a profound focus in all potential life experiences. A dream can become a reality through the great pressure that is applied through this channel. But since this channel involves emotional authority, be clear in your feelings that you are aimed towards experiences that you are aligned with, your true nature and your feeling clarity. Gate 30 is coupled with gate 36, called crisis resolution, in the top side of the emotion center. This gateway has also been called the darkening of the light. So if you have a desire to have an experience from gate 30, but you've never done anything quite like this before, and there is a hesitation, will it work? Will it be all right? Will I be all right? What will everyone think of me if I do this? And again, guilt and shame can put the brakes on, along with a touch of anxiety. Any crisis resolution comes in taking the first step into any experience. After all, a journey of 1,000 miles starts with that first step. Of course, being clear that you're facing a worthwhile experience, you'll know through consulting your type and authority. The potential connection to gate 35, called progress at the throat center, completes a manifesting channel that jumps through an experience and almost immediately will look for another one. Having a short attention span is one way of considering this channel, or else feeling that you have a lot of ground to cover in a limited time period is another. Whether other people go along with you and appreciate you and your yearning for experience or not can seem irrelevant to you. Having any of the gates in the stream from 41 in the root center to gate 30 and gate 36 to 35 can lead you into a lifetime of indulging instant gratification rather than finding or feeling clarity, because having the experience is what seems to matter the most. Gate 55, again in the lower side of the emotion center, is called abundance, and this opens up our connection to our spirited nature. Most people have their spirit taken away from them in early years by being indoctrinated into all kinds of strange teachings and practices. Those who have this gate will never yield their spirited nature, even though it can cost them in terms of other people's approvals. We live in an abundant universe, and gate 55 senses that this even among the beliefs that society upholds. With a potential connection to gate 39, provocation in the root center, the channel of the full emotional spectrum reaches beyond most people's appreciation of feelings, in that it ranges from agony to ecstasy and back again. This channel is highly creative in its potential, but can also bring about intense depression if feelings are foggy rather than clear, or emotional waves have been damaged through the kinds of situations that I've described earlier. This gate couples with gate 22 in the top side of the emotion center, called grace, where spirit, high or low, seeks release through charm, beauty, style, and also blessing. Those who have gate 22 in their design have a certain element of attractiveness around them. And when this gate couples with gate 12, standstill at the throat center, it forms another manifesting channel that finds openings where others only see blocks, attains entry where others cannot, because it feels around any and all imposed rules. In the stream of gates from 39 at the root center to 55, and then from 22 to gate 12 at the throat center, exists a yearning for what we might call the impossible. There is a craving to become immersed in the emotional, expanding experiences, whether the feelings involved make any sense or not. Gate 49, called revolution in the lower side of the emotion center, is one of those rare aspects in our nature, and particularly in human design, that operates on at least 3 distinct levels. The lowest level is rejection, and a blanket no to anyone or anything. Those who have this gate might recognize their knee-jerk dismissal of both people and opportunities sometimes. No, not interested. The more moderate expression of gate 49 involves revolution, and this also involves rejection, but is played out in the form of a pretend debate. A bit like the United States Congress, where all the energy goes into denigrating and obstructing the opposite tribe, rather than creating something useful. The highest form of gate 49 is the rebel, through which you observe the tribal games that people play, and choose to rise above it all, engaging with those aspects of life that appeal to you directly. The potential connection to gate 19 at the root center, called approach, and the need to find inclusion, brings on the channel of sensitivity, or what I have come to call hypersensitivity. Those who have this channel in their design have to know not that there is an elephant in the room, but that the room is full of elephants, and if they don't watch out, they will be trampled. They have a level of sensitivity to everyone's needs in life that others do not possess. Gate 37, family and friendship in the top side of the emotions center, continues on from gate 49 as it embraces the who is in and to be considered a part of the family, to be trusted and included, and who is not. Families exist on many levels, from parents and children to communities, schools, teams, corporations, countries and cultures. Most religions live here, each having an exclusive connection with their deity or a principle. The potential connection to gate 40, called deliverance at the heart, the willpower center, creating the channel of community, one of the four most common channels in human design. Families and communities live through the support each member brings and the consensual agreements that make the family strong. Break the agreements and you are outcast, or at the very least downgraded. All families have a figurehead, whether a patriarch or a matriarch, a captain, a CEO or president, and these people generally, but not always, have the overall say in how the family operates. Having a dysfunctional figurehead implies that the family will most likely be dysfunctional too. The stream from gate 19 at the root center to gate 49, and then from 37 to 40 in the heart center, continues to the throat center where it finds expression through either the money channel, 2145, and the engagement with materialism that expands the community resources, or through gate 5125 called initiation, often called the shaman channel, and an investigation into a potentially more mystical journey in life. If you have your emotion center undefined, that is colored white without a full channel connecting it to another center, but at least with one or more gates active, you'll recognize those parts of your emotions that have been triggered anytime you're in the company of people with defined emotion centers. Remember always that undefined centers are mirrors, and their potential is to mirror wisdom. Your difficulties arise when you absorb other people's defined center energies, and in this case, you absorb other people's emotions. Given that the emotion center is unique to Homo sapiens, and that it gives us a direct experience of pleasure or pain, with your undefined emotion center, if you are picking up on and absorbing other people's emotions, then you are subject to whatever feelings are passing through them. Yes, your feelings are yours to take responsibility for, but you are taking on other people's inputs, and that is a big responsibility too, because you need to find your emotional wisdom and not be in emotional reaction. If someone with a defined emotion center is upset, then you are going to get thrown around in that energy. If they're full of fun, then you're going to have that whole experience, which might be pleasurable for you or not. You can feel overwhelmed because you have little or no control over these emotions. And if you become pained because it feels like you're carrying a cannonball in your belly, then you are unlikely to want to go through such experiences again. You might deliberately avoid or distance yourself from those people who have defined emotions, even becoming a victim of emotions altogether, and losing contact with indulging and expanding your wisdom relating to the pleasures of life, because you become identified with it all feeling so painful and uncontrollable. However, if you pay close attention to your type and authority, it will tell you exactly how you relate to any situation on your own terms. You don't have to be a victim to someone else's poor emotional behaviors. Your authority will tell you if an emotionally charged environment is right for you or not. It will tell you when things are fun and right for you, and also when things are getting out of hand and potentially overwhelming for you, and that it's time to leave. If you have an open emotion center, meaning that the center is white and there are no gates activated there, then you probably think you're living in a madhouse. Why? Because you're watching and feeling all the crazy emotional expressions going on around you. People being excited about something one moment and completely ignoring it the next. You have a tendency to shun emotional people and emotional situations altogether. After all, who wants to be in a madhouse? However, it could be that you play out being the most emotional person around as you absorb everyone else's emotions, having no control over them whatsoever. In either case, through paying close attention to your own type and authority, you'll come to appreciate who and what makes for fun and emotionally responsible company and who does not. You might appear a bit cool and detached to emotionally defined people, but so what? You have your own life experiences to live out that might involve them or not. With either undefined or open emotion centers, remember that yes, the feelings are yours, and if they have been damaged, frozen, or skewed through your interactions with others, then if you do not find ways to heal, you will miss the full symphony of life. If you have the emotion center defined and colored in your chart through one or more of the channels I've described, then you are afloat in an ocean of waves of feelings. Sometimes the waves will rise, and sometimes they will fall, and inevitably sometimes they will become frozen as you revisit something that has skewed your DNA. You'll find that you affect the world around you with your waves of emotion. You have a great responsibility to be clear in your emotions because they have such a strong effect on others. Your mood becomes the moods of others as you rise and fall through your own waves of pleasure and pain. What has been revealed through human design is that there are not only the instances in our own lives that affect us, but also the input from our ancestry in our unconscious energies too. And inevitably we are carrying wounds and scars from our inheritance without necessarily knowing about them, or if we do, how to heal them. We find that the vast majority of relationships in this world have a defined emotion center when two charts are put together. So it is important to recognize how to find emotional clarity. The emotion center, or solar plexus center, is physically located near our belly button. Often we're trying to live our lives from our minds and disconnect from our feelings until we find that there is something unsettled there. How do we find emotional clarity? In any situation that you feel discomfort in your solar plexus emotion center, the first thing I recommend is take a deep breath. Take a breath that goes all the way into the belly. And when you release that breath, you'll probably hear a sigh. Take another breath and begin to place more and more attention on your belly. And you will start connecting to the feelings that are running through you. If you have a defined emotion center, following your breath will eventually take you to your own clarity, a still point that is not attached to particular outcomes that you think should happen. It requires that you place your attention on your breathing all the way to your solar plexus until you find that still point. It might take a lot of patience, but there is no way that moving on is going to serve you until you find that clarity. Once you find that clarity, you will know. The clarity will settle within you. If you cannot find that clarity, then it is likely that you are blocked either consciously or unconsciously and will benefit from being assisted in removing those blocks. If you have an undefined or open emotion center and find yourself in a state of emotional overwhelm due to being in the company or situations where emotions are giving you pain, breathe. Breathe deeply and let the breath go all the way to your solar plexus and release it. Keep breathing, and when you are clear to leave, walk away. Keep breathing consciously, and rather than finding a place to hide with your pain, Go into an area where there are people who are not involved with your situation. Be among these people. And as you breathe, watch how the energy in your belly starts to move from discomfort and pain to a more relaxed state. Be aware of what is happening. If you find yourself able to laugh, laugh. Let it go. The people around you in that crowded situation where those people are not involved in your situation, some of whom will have defined emotion centers, will be passively assisting you to move the feeling energies that have lodged in your belly, and they will move it to a different state. All things must pass. But if we keep on hitting the same places in our lives where we feel we are not living our full potential, are limited, frozen, or shut down, then there is a way to clear the path. I have been working with human design for nearly 25 years now, and I've encountered all manner of brilliant and wonderful people, to whom I've been given the great opportunity to read for them, to teach them about this amazing system. What has become apparent to me is that it's wonderful watching people light up when they recognize the accuracy of their design. But I've often felt challenged in helping people hold that light within them. Now, I have established a series of different ways in helping people move beyond their conditioning, their blocks, and any imposed restrictions. And I invite you, if you feel that certain issues are holding you back and blocking your progress and happiness, then click on the link listed here and we'll set up a time to talk. I'm opening a chance for you to have a 20-minute consultation with me to see if you'd like to work with me to explore your life in greater depth. To remove some of the obstructions and blocks that are limiting you in any way in your life. There is no fault and there is no blame, because all of us have been living through situations in our lives that are often beyond our minds to comprehend or clarify. However, there is a profound and tested way to clear anything that is stuck. Thank you for watching, and follow the link to have a 20-minute consultation with me. Here's wishing us all a bold, loving, pleasurable, and celebrating lifetime. Thank you.